It's time for another Tesla News Roundup, one day later than usual, but there's a really good reason for it. Namely, news of another record-breaking first quarter for Tesla. I'll be bringing you all the headlines from the earnings call, plus Tesla launches its insurance product in 3 more US states, Tesla's largest ever Megapack project goes online, why you can't buy out your Tesla lease anymore, and the controversy surrounding Tesla making its mobile charging equipment a paid optional extra. That, plus more. We cannot start today's news roundup in the world of Tesla without looking at the truly amazing quarter it had at the start of this year. It not only set some new records, but managed to beat Wall Street predictions in the process. Interestingly too, this is the second quarterly earnings call since Elon said he wouldn't attend, where he actually attended, which made it certainly less droll than earnings calls without him. Quarterly production for the first quarter was confirmed at 305,407 units, slightly less than the number of cars produced in the fourth quarter of last year. 14,218 of those are Model S and X, while the lion's share, 291,189, was split between Model 3 and Model Y. Deliveries sat at a record-breaking 310,048 cars, with Tesla's Model 3 and Model Y deliveries slightly down on last quarter at 295,324, while Model S and Model X helped push total deliveries over 310,000 for the first time, with 14,724 vehicles delivered. The number of vehicles leased dropped again from the previous quarter, reasons for which might become apparent later in the show. Because we're covering multiple Tesla stories in today's roundup, as per usual, I don't have time to go into the full quarterly figures in depth here, but it is worth noting that solar deployment for Q1 was significantly down on the previous quarter, while there was a more gentle tick down in grid-tied storage deployment. Although Tesla does note that there was a 90% year-on-year improvement of grid-tied energy storage Q1 last year to Q1 this. Total revenues for Q1 sat at $18.8 billion US, with Tesla bringing in $15.5 billion from automotive sales, $668 million from leasing, and $679 million from regulatory credits. That latter income stream was more than double what it was in the last quarter of 2021, due, according to Elon Musk, to the change in emissions targets in the US. It shows that some legacy automakers still aren't capable of hitting their emissions targets without buying regulatory credits from Tesla. This pushed Tesla's gross automotive margin to a record-breaking 32.9%, helped in part by Tesla's continual price increases, but also egged on by that large regulatory credit sale. But even without taking into account those regulatory credits, Tesla's gross automotive margin was above 30%. Which brings us to its earnings. In the first quarter, Tesla received a total non-adjusted $3.32 billion in profit, or $2.86 per share, while the adjusted profits sat at $3.7 billion, or $3.22 per share. Talking in the earnings call after, we learned some really interesting tidbits from Elon Musk about the future of the company, including the fact that Tesla plans to grow its manufacturing capabilities as quickly as possible, with a target 50% year-on-year growth over the next few years. Assuming Tesla can keep its supply chains in good health, that's not out of the question, especially now that Giga Berlin and Giga Texas are online and ramping production up. Elon Musk also confirmed during the call that the Tesla Cybertruck is on schedule to begin production next year at Giga Austin, and he said that Tesla's robotaxi vehicle, a vehicle that seems to be unnamed from what we can tell, is now in full deployment. Musk promises production for that vehicle, which has no manual controls, will begin in 2024. Note here that we are talking about Elon time though, and that's something that did come into discussion later in the call when an investor asked Elon about the disparity between Tesla's promises about full self-driving versus the reality of it, specifically when Tesla thought full self-driving would be pushed to customers' cars. In answering, Musk admitted that he had never before seen so many quote-unquote false dawns. That's moments at which it appeared as if Tesla would solve the challenges of autonomous driving once and for all before a public full self-driving rollout. He did, however, state that he's confident that full self-driving will be rolled out this year, as he believes Tesla is close to solving the challenges of creating the perfect fusion of neural nets and optical sensors that he thinks is going to enable FSD to see and react to the world in the same way a human can, but far better. Also worthy of note, Musk said that he believes Optimus, that's Tesla's robot, is misunderstood by many, adding, quote, "Those who are insightful or listen carefully," end quote, will realise how much bigger Optimus will be for Tesla than its vehicles or indeed FSD have been to date. We also learned that Tesla plans to eventually transition Model 3 to the same single-piece castings front and rear as found on Model Y, and that Tesla plans to begin making structural battery packs with 4680 cells sometime towards the end of the third quarter or sometime in the fourth. On the subject of batteries, Musk said that there's currently an excess of cells due to shutdowns at Shanghai's Gigafactory caused by COVID-19 restrictions from the Chinese government. And when it comes to recycling, Tesla is currently recycling, wait for this, upwards of 50 tons of EV battery cells per week at its Giga Nevada facility. It plans to ramp that up to 150 tons of batteries very soon. Finally, from the shareholder call, at least for today's show, the news that one half of all Teslas made during the first quarter of this year were fitted with cobalt-free LFP batteries. And frankly, that's really impressive. With us now 2 pages into what is supposed to be a 4-page script, let's check out some of the other important Tesla news stories from the last 2 weeks. Although that script's probably going to be closer to 5 pages. We're going to start with the news that Tesla has launched its Tesla insurance product in 3 new US states, Oregon, Colorado, and Virginia. Making use of real-time telematics data from customers' cars, Tesla's insurance product boasts what it says is the lowest rates for Tesla customers, and is now available in a total of 7 US states, although California's implementation of Tesla insurance does not use real-time data due to California's regulatory constraints. Tesla's ultimate goal here is to have its insurance product available across all 50 US states by the end of this year, but like many things in the US, insurance regulations vary widely from state to state. So insurance underwriting has to be prepared on a state-by-state basis, and that takes a lot of time, money, and expertise. Tesla's largest ever grid-tied energy storage project, which we reported on during our weekend show a week or so ago as remaining offline following an unrelated electrical fire, has finally been switched on and connected to the grid. Located at the Moss Landing substation operated by PG&E, the facility is capable of storing 730 megawatt hours of power. That's enough to keep nearly 25,000 average US homes powered for one whole day. And by the way, the footage you're seeing right now is not of the Moss Landing station because Tesla hasn't made any available. Earlier on in the show, I told you that the number of people leasing Teslas rather than buying them has been dropping in recent months, meaning more people are either buying their Teslas through buying them directly or through some kind of finance through Tesla or a third party. And earlier in the show, I told you there was a really good reason for it, namely the fact that Tesla has pretty much stopped leaseholders from being able to buy their Teslas at the end of their lease period. Tesla has operated a no-lease buyout policy for Model 3s since 2019 because it said it wanted to use Model 3s off-lease in its future fleet of autonomous ride-sharing vehicles. And with Tesla promising its own autonomous, purpose-built ride-sharing car, which is going to come with no manual controls, you'd have thought that it might have been changing its policy in favour of letting leasees keep their cars at the end of the lease period with a buyout. But it's actually gone the other way, telling lease customers they cannot buy their cars out at the end of the lease, regardless of what model they have. Why? residual value. Basically, the resale value of used Teslas have skyrocketed, just as other used cars have over the last couple of years, and so Tesla can make a killing on selling its used cars at prices that rival what they may have originally sold for brand new. And frankly, since Tesla has increased its prices too many times to count over the last 3 years, buying a used 3-year-old Tesla at a price similar to what it was brand new a few years ago is still cheaper than buying a brand new one today. There was a time, not so long ago, when buying a new electric car meant you got some form of mobile charging solution with it, aka a granny lead or a portable charger. But as onboard battery packs have grown in size and rapid charging capabilities have increased, many car companies have started to quietly charge extra for granny leads. And last week, Tesla became the latest to do so, making the decision to stop shipping its cars with a mobile charging connector included. And, well, people have gotten, unusually, rather cross. Instead of making it part of the price of buying a Tesla, the company said it would sell customers one for $275 or equivalent, citing its own data that says few people used the unit. But amidst the backlash and contradictory data from third-party sources that says that many people use Tesla's mobile charging connector, Elon Musk said Tesla would bring the price down to $200 for a basic mobile charging connector, complete with a 110-volt adapter in North America. I should note here that Tesla used to include a NEMA 1450 adapter for its mobile charging system, but it stopped doing that some time ago. And while I get that people are upset, it is worth noting it's always preferable to install a dedicated charging station at home if you can. And in a decade and a half of EV ownership, I think I've used granny leads or equivalent a total of about 50 times. And in the last year, maybe 4 times. Specifically when I was trying to charge more EVs at the studio than we had high-powered charging stations for. And we have a lot of charging stations. Which brings me to the final story of today. The tech billionaire who is running for Senate in this November's elections on one single issue: banning Tesla full self-driving. Who am I talking about? Well, it's hopeful California Democrat candidate Dan O'Dowd, founder and CEO of Green Hill Software. He's ploughing millions of dollars into a smear campaign turned Senate run that will focus on what he says is Tesla's, quote, unbelievably bad, end quote, autopilot system. If that name sounds familiar, it should, as Dan is the guy behind the Dawn Project, an organisation which has seemingly been established to discredit all semi-autonomous and autonomous systems, except those co-developed with O'Dowd's Green Hills Software, a company which claims it builds software that, quote, never fails and cannot be hacked, end quote. And I'm not going to rehash my reaction to that. I'll leave a link in the video description to the last time I devoted an entire video to that company and that individual, as well as the prize fund that they've set up to get proof that Tesla's autopilot system is terrible. While it's not clear if O'Dowd will be successful in his primary bid, it's certainly one of the weirdest personal grudges, political campaigns that I have seen in a really long time. And while I am the first to admit that Tesla's autopilot system is nowhere near perfect, I'll also tell you that what we really need, and what I've been calling for a long time, is joined up guidance on basic autonomous vehicle rules that every automaker, including Tesla, can follow, because every semi-autonomous system out there has its flaws. I'll be back in 2 weeks with another update, and of course, if you want a more generalised news roundup in the world of cleaner, greener, safer and smarter vehicles, do make sure you check out our News Roundup show every weekend. Until next time, I'm Nikki Gordon-Bloomfield. Ka kite! See you soon.